lovely video for you guys. Look at me being Scottish. You hear that? 3 years and I finally can talk like I belong, kind of. Alright, so basically guys, you're going to go through on your assignment. You're going to work through this, alright? So there's a few things that you're going to do. So here's the PowerPoint that goes with it. Then on this side, you're going to work through this worksheet. Okay? Pretty straightforward. It is 2.5 pages. But this part down here, you're going to find that you are going to complete in a form like what you did last week. The form looks something like this. All right, so your turn-in task, the only thing you're turning in is once again this week going to be a form where you're going to answer 2 questions. So you're doing 2 pages really on your wee workbook, going through the PowerPoint, and then you're going to work on those 2 tasks. These are to be completed in the form. Turn-in task to be completed in the form on your assignment. This is the only task that is to be turned in this week. And I'm going to underline that and bold it. Right? Are we good? Has everybody got us? All right, so you got 2 tasks there. All right, so as you go through, so first thing, we code breaker. So you're going to go through using the code along the bottom, figure out what they are, type it in over here if you want, write it on your own paper, not really too bothered. Take a few notes from slide 4. So write these down in your own words. What were the Scottish problems that were going on? All right, this is a bit of a review. So with these problems, all right, so King William put the English interest in before the British Empire first, so he was looking out for England. The Navigation Acts were passed by English Parliament to prevent Scotland from being able to trade with English colonies. So basically Scotland wasn't able to reach out to like where I come from in the States, all right, because they were a colony, and basically Scotland was allowed to trade with them. It was only England that was allowed to trade with them. All right, so that was a problem. The Scottish people were facing starvation because crops were failing. All right, so I want you to think about this. So you've written down the problems. How would you solve those problems? So take a wee second, pause the video, see how you would go about solving that. What do you think? What's your opinion? Pause the video, have a think, write it down. And number 2. All right. So then go through and you're going to go into figuring out what the Scottish government did do. All right, so you talked about what the Scottish government could do, and then you need to watch this video here. So there's a video there, there's a video on your worksheet. Watch the video and figure out exactly what they did. So you'll see what they came up with. And they came up with a plan to create their own colony in Central America, and it's called the Darien Scheme. And whenever they did this, the plan was they weren't allowed to trade with English colonies, so they decided that they were going to trade with their own, and they were going to make their own. So they loaded up a boat. They decided the best place to go to was Panama, which is right here. When you look at Panama, there's actually a canal there now. It's pretty famous. It connects the Atlantic Ocean, which is on this side, to the Pacific Ocean on this side. So it makes this trade route when you go from Europe, Scotland, instead of having to go all the way down South America and then back up to trade with Asia, you could just cut straight through. So you could just cut straight through. Right? And when you do that, it makes your trading routes a lot easier. Right? So that's one of the reasons why they would want to cut across and to trade with Asia. All right? So that's why they were wanting to do it. That was one of the reasons why they thought this is a really strategically important place to trade. Okay, so that's what so watch that video. It explains it really well, probably better than I can. But yeah, so yeah. All right, so they went through, they decided to set up the Bank of Scotland, do all these different things. They made plans, they trying to get enough money. So loads of people donated or invested in the Company of Scotland, and they were trying to make this work. They created loads of money, and they got stuff, and they went over, and they decided they raised investments for the Darien Scheme, and thousands of ordinary Scottish folks put money in, and they volunteered to travel abroad, 5 trips. They were so excited to go. everything was looking really good. They were going to go to Panama and they were going to sort things out, have their own colony, and get a hold of some of this money that all the other European powers were starting to get into. All right, so 5 ships sailed from Leith Harbour, 1698. And they were filled with people who were really excited, who were going on, and they were thinking they were going to get everything going. All right, so the first thing they did, problem is, a lot of them were already sick. Whenever it arrived to Darien, they were sick. So when they got to this new place, they think about if you move to a place that doesn't have anything there and you're sick, are you going to be building a shelter, houses, farming, doing all the things you need to do to set up a new colony? That was a problem. All right, we're going to go through each of these problems here, so don't worry about writing anything down. Another one, the first thing they had to do, instead of building houses, they had to dig graves for the people who died. Then they didn't have any food, so they were struggling. Then the Spanish attacked them. And then King William actually told the Spanish that, who was the King William of both countries, actually told the Spanish, we're not going to really bother. If you want to attack the Scots, it's not a problem. All right? Because he didn't want Scotland having colonies. So the native people, took pity on the Scots. They brought them fruit and fish, and basically they lasted 7 months. 400 Scots were dead. The rest were emancipated with yellow fever. They decided at that point that they were just peacing out. Okay, it was just a bad situation. The news did not travel quickly in the 17th century. 6 more ships set sail from Leith. All right, and then another 1,300 passengers were looking. A third fleet, a 5-ship fleet. They were again not aware. So while they were going back, 2 more ships were going down. All right, so it was pretty problematic. Okay, so if you go through, this is where you're going to be filling these out. Now, if you click on that, you can type that. Okay, so you're going to be taking these. So 1, the weather. All right, and then you're going to take notes on the weather. Okay, so I'm going to leave this for you guys to do. So you're going to go weather, and you're going to write something like, so we have Darien was not suitable for Northern European settlement. Darien has 200 inches of rainfall a year, yearly, because it's next to a tropical rainforest. All right, not good for Northern Europeans because of tropical rainforest. Okay, and once again, I can't spell. Okay, so go through it, do something like that for the rest of them. Okay, I'm going to leave that there, so whenever you get your copy, there'll already be one done. Okay, go through, do one for disease, do one for bad planning, blah, 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 blah. So a quick question once you get through those is, the main guy who sort of arranged the thing, was essentially, he was disowned by his family. He was the main guy who went through collecting all the money to make it happen. Okay, so he survived, Roger, and he was disowned. So do you think it was fair that he was disowned? His family basically was like, we don't want anything to do with you. So a quick thought. Do you think that was fair? That's number 5. Number 6, you're doing the same thing, but with the aftermath of Darien. Now these are really important because as you go through, you'll find that these are the things you're going to need for the last task. All right, so you go through, you do the same thing that you would have done for the other one. All right, so in the aftermath, so you would put loss of life, right? And we ended up with only 300 of the 2,500 Scots returned alive. And many of them were disowned. Okay, So you just take it, change it into your own words, shorten it up if you want to. You could even write this the other way, and you can do 2200 Scots died, right? You could flip it, because if you do a bit of maths, you can even shorten that up as well. Okay, so I'll put that in there. I'll leave that one in there and let you guys do your own. Then you're going through and you got your last two tasks. Now, it's a bit different though, so I'm about to end the video before I tell you how to do this task. And the reason why, I'll make sure you've got a couple of links that you can help. I've already made video walkthroughs for task 1 and task 2. Alright, and the video walkthroughs for these are here. There's short videos, so like 5 minutes long, and here that go with the questions as you go through on your workbook. But where you're going to be completing them is actually in the form, which is going to be attached to your team. Alright, so when you go through here, I'll just show you, this is what the form's going to look like. As you go through task 1, you're trying to figure out how to answer it, you would just click that. And I'll show you a video where you have to listen to me talking.
So I'm going to have written task 1, level 3 questions.
Alright, and working you through the task. So I'm going to leave you here and let you guys get onto it from here. And if you have any questions, get in touch with your teacher. I hope you guys have a fab week.